Sup, Rotten? So you're considering purchasing the iPhone Air, and you're wondering if it's truly worth it or not, despite its sleek and slim design. Well, you've come to the right place. Apple wants to make their phones thin again, and by doing that, they have to make some sacrifices and compromises to pull off the aesthetic that they're going for. They're treating the iPhone Air like a lifestyle object, less about beating benchmarks and more about being easy to carry, matching an outfit or bag, and not making your pockets sag. But make no mistake, there are real hardware choices here that affect photographers, power users, and people who use their phone all day without a charger. However, it's not all style over substance, so I will try my best to provide you with a comprehensive overview of the iPhone Air, including its features, advantages, disadvantages, comparisons to other models in the lineup, and ultimately, whether it's even worth it. I'll tell you what's definitely worth it though. Check in if you're subscribed yet. You wouldn't want to miss more content from me, right? We're friends. And if you want that birthday invite, I suggest you make the wise decision. So let's start with the name. Contrary to the belief of many people, it is actually referred to as the iPhone Air rather than the iPhone 17 Air. So instead of being part of the iPhone 17 family, like the iPhone 16e, it is considered its own thing, similar to the iPhone SE. This means that we'll probably get an iPhone Air 2, 3, and so on in the future. What that also means is that we probably won't be getting an iPhone Air update every year either. The iPhone Air is Apple's lightest and thinnest iPhone yet, if you ignore the camera anyway. An ultra slim titanium bodied phone that has many pro level features while trading away some pro hardware choices to stay impressively thin. Think of it as an iPhone 17 Pro Lite, or light I should say, because according to Apple, the Air measures 5.6 millimeters and comes in at about 165 grams. And yes, for those of you wondering, it is indeed thinner than the Samsung Galaxy Edge as well by about 2 millimeters. What are we even doing here, man? The iPhone Air comes in 4 colors: sky blue, light gold, cloud white, and space black. The colors they chose sort of embrace the identity of the phone's airy feel that they're going for, excluding the black, of course, for the cool dudes who couldn't be caught with less manlier colors. iPhone Air uses a large Super Retina XDR display with ProMotion up to 120 Hz. Translation: animations, scrolling, and UI feels noticeably smoother than older phones stuck at 60 Hz. Apple lists the Air's screen as a big, bright panel, so this thin phone still gives you that buttery experience people pay for. If your phone is any baseline iPhone from the past, the Air will feel like an upgrade, but keep in mind that this feature is also on the baseline iPhone 17 as well. Under the hood, the iPhone Air is powered by the A19 Pro, the same chip that's in their flagship iPhone, the iPhone 17 Pro. Apple positions it as high performance and built for on-device Apple Intelligence tasks. You shouldn't be worried about sluggish performance. This chip is meant to keep the phone snappy for apps, gaming, and whatever AI features Apple has to offer. For context, Apple lists the Air with the A19 Pro class strengths to handle heavier workloads despite the thin frame. The iPhone 17 Pro is still more powerful, but the Air should be able to hold its own quite well. But before we can get into the details, here's a quick word from our sponsor so I can feed my cat. This video has been sponsored by Toraz. And yes, Toraz isn't some random case brand. They're literally the #1 MagSafe stand case brand on Amazon. The Q3 Air is Toraz's latest flagship, and you can tell they went all in on the design. Most cases are just slabs of rubber or clear plastic that just turns yellow over time. This one actually has style. The design is bold with clean edges and a layered, almost futuristic look, and that's kind of the point. Toraz built the Q3 Air around freedom and individuality. It's a case that says you actually made a choice. Much like the iPhone Air, it's slim, it's precise, and it's clearly meant to be seen. But the design isn't just for show. It's seriously protective thanks to Toraz airbag technology, which is literally inspired by air cushioned sneakers. The corners compress on impact to absorb shocks, and unlike those massive rugged cases, it does all of this without turning your phone into a chunky brick. So if you're still rocking the same $5 case you panic bought on launch day, maybe it's time to upgrade to something that matches your taste, or at least have some sort of personality. Be sure to check out the Toraz Q3 Air with the link in the description notification, and shout out to Toraz for sponsoring this video. This is the trade-off most potential buyers will notice. The iPhone Air only has a single lens main camera with some telephoto magic, but it doesn't try to be a 3-lens Swiss Army knife the way Pro models do. What you would probably get is excellent daytime shots, solid low light processing, and some of the smarts Apple can pack into a single or simplified module. But if you are really into photography, just know that you will be severely limited in your versatility here. You also don't get access to any spatial camera features either. If you take mostly everyday photos, social content, and videos, it is supposed to do great. Anything beyond that, I wouldn't bet on it holding its own compared to the other phones in the iPhone 17 lineup. This elongated camera bump isn't just for show, by the way. The plateau, which is what they're officially calling it, is holding the phone's major components, including the chips and the single speaker it possesses. The rest of the phone is basically just a battery, and even then it will still be a problem, as it sports a battery of 3,149 milliamp hours, even less if your iPhone Air comes with a SIM card tray. Yes, seriously, because they do have to make room for it, which means less room for the battery. Apple claims that it will have all-day battery life with 27 hours of video playback, which I believe can be very true in the beginning, but after long-term use, I'm not so sure. To try and make up for this obvious battery drawback, they do sell a battery pack exclusive to the iPhone Air to give your phone 65% more juice. Yes, that kind of defeats the purpose of the phone being thin and light, and it does sort of seem like they're selling a solution to a problem they created, but hey, if you want a phone like this, you have to be able to accept the ironies that inevitably come along with it. Pricing is a simple but important reality check. Apple and reliable outlets show that the iPhone Air is starting at the base 256GB configuration, then $1,200 for the 512GB and $1,400 for the 1TB. Yes, the Air is a premium priced, design-led product, and Apple is asking for a pro-level price for a device that deliberately sacrifices some pro features. What you're paying for is the perceived luxury with the light titanium build, the thinness, the aesthetics, and the display experience more than all the bells and whistles. Apple is explicitly selling this as a premium design statement, not a budget option. How Air stacks up versus the rest of the lineup. Compared to the iPhone 17, the Air trades a chunk of the physical thickness, battery, and extra camera versus the 17 Pro and Pro Max. The Air cuts back even more on battery size and camera flexibility. The Pro still owns the best camera and longest battery lane here, without a doubt. If you're thinking in terms of practical choices, the Air is the fashion-forward, display-first pick. The Pro is the field kit for power users and pro photographers, and the baseline iPhone is the perfect all-arounder. For most people who don't need true telephoto or the absolute maximum battery for some reason, the Air compromises will land just fine. Who should actually consider buying the iPhone Air? If you carry your phone everywhere, hate weight in your pocket, and value a phone that looks and feels slim without giving up smoothness in everyday use, the iPhone Air is tailor-made for you. If you spend all day away from a charger, shoot a ton of media, or use your phone as a primary creative workstation, look at the Pro model. If you want a little bit of both sides, I would go for the base model iPhone 17, which is the one I would recommend for most people. Also remember, the Air's starting capacity is 256GB, not 128, so storage is generous, but price jumps for each tier are real. Before you buy, I would recommend going to a physical Apple store to test it out first if you can. Before you spend $1,000 on this, hold one first. The thinness is appealing, but will that be good enough for you? If you're going to put a case on it and get the MagSafe battery, see how it feels with one on. Does it still feel worth it? Finally, verify carrier compatibility. If your market still relies on physical SIMs, remember that you are sacrificing even more battery because of that. Some things to keep in mind. Now, here's what I think. This phone is seriously impressive for what it is. If you own a phone from a generation or two ago and you want a lighter, pleasantly fast device with a modern display, the Air is a tempting upgrade. If you own a recent Pro model and you are buying for spec upgrades like a better camera or battery, then the Air won't move the needle for you. If you are budget conscious and the $1,000 price tag hurts, wait for deals or consider the standard iPhone 17, which carries so much value for what it is for slightly less cash. Okay, now the question you actually want the answer to. Is the iPhone Air worth it? My verdict, for a buyer who values design, presentation, aesthetics, and individuality, I still wouldn't recommend it. It's impressive that Apple has managed to pack a pro-level display in solid silicon into a phone that prioritizes thinness and style, but it still highlights the issues I had with the Samsung Galaxy Edge that was released earlier this year. I'm thinking long-term here, and I can't help but see the issues people are going to possibly have with it several months to years down the line, especially if you're a heavy user. Some people are here for a good time, not a long time, and I respect that. However, I think you can have both if you picked any other option in the 17 lineup. But that's just my rotten opinion. What's yours? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to support the channel by buying a wallpaper, the link is down below, along with my Patreon, where you'll get exclusive perks like getting access to videos early, getting your own Ryan avatar made, and more, along with my Ryan and Ryan Pro subscribers, Vasco, Fransco Beck, Carbon Rager, Carl Williams, and Miss Game. Thank you all for the support, as it keeps me dropping videos consistently, and thank you, viewer, for watching. If you want to see more of me, you know what to do. Okay, I have a theory. The iPhone Air comes up short in a lot of ways, but what if it's like half of the iPhone Fold? They're selling us one half and gonna sell us both halves the following year. It's pretty weird, but that sounds very Apple when you think about it.